Okay, thanks for coming.
Let me give a concluding note.
Here we have Avery pointing out a contradiction in the Quran and asking this young Muslim about it. Let's take a look. Also, the link to the original live stream is in the description.
All right. So here is a verse I believe is clear. It's going to be on the left.
Which
So,
surah and verse?
so this is chapter 35, verse 18, Surah Al-Fatir. It says, "And no bearer of burdens shall bear another's burden. And if one heavy laden, so heavy laden with burdens, calls another to bear his load, nothing of it will be lifted, even though he be near of kin." So even if it's a family member, nobody will be able to bear the sins of another. Right?
I think that's
Pretty clear, right?
pretty clear.
All right. So just to finish the verse off, because we want to do it justice. You can warn only those who fear their Lord unseen and perform salat. And he who purifies himself, then he purifies only for the benefit of his own self. And to Allah is the return. Okay. So clearly, no bearer of burdens shall bear the burden of another. You can't bear anybody else's burden. Even if it's a close family member, even if you beg, it can't happen. It won't happen. All right. So that's chapter 35, verse 18. I'm going to leave this here. Now let's go to 1625. It says the opposite.
Can you tell your interpretation of the previous verse you were talking about?
The previous verse is pretty clear. Nobody can bear the sins of another.
Okay.
No one can.
So that's your that's the statement you want to hold to for showing the next verse?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because that's what it says, right? It says, "No bearer of burdens shall bear the burden of another." Right?
No problem.
Do we agree?
Yeah, of course.
They will bear their own burdens in full on the day of resurrection, and also of the burdens of those whom they misled without knowledge. Evil indeed is that which they shall bear. So this says that they will bear their own burdens in full, completely. So whatever sins they committed, they bear it in full. Yeah. But also they will bear the burdens, or some of the burdens, of those who they misled without knowledge. So they both can't be true. This one says no bearer of burdens can bear the burdens of another, while this one says actually they will bear their own burdens, but also some of the burdens of people they misled.
Yeah. So
those two can't be true at the same time.
Can you present it in a clear way, like because I read it as like, if you want to know my
let me hear what you think.
And the first, the left one you're showing me says, no one, it's my interpretation, no one will burden the sin of another person. Like you cannot, like, if you if someone steals, if a father steals, his son is not accountable for that. So it's like that. The left. Yeah. My interpretation. And for the right is obviously it's talking about the day of judgment. And
well, both of them are talking about the day of judgment.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. It's talking about day of judgment. And the first statement says they will obviously bear their own sins with the burdens meaning sins,
in
full, and they will But also, the own burdens refers to the sins committed against Allah itself.
That's not what it says.
And the second part says they will also bear the burdens of those who of the persons they have committed sins against, not against, also
Doesn't say
against
that.
Allah, but also against them.
Brother, you're reading into the text.
I
It
think
says,
with the plain, okay,
brother,
go
let's be
ahead,
clear.
go ahead.
Let's be clear about what it says. It says, obviously, the first one says that no one can bear anybody else's sins. Nobody can bear anybody's burdens. It can't happen. This one says, actually, it can happen as long as you've misled that person. If you misled that person, then you can bear their sin, some of it.
Yeah.
So that's a contradiction.
That's not a contradiction. That's a caveat to the bearing the burden.
That means it's a contradiction. If this says no bearer of burden, like for example, it wouldn't be a problem if it said no bearer of burdens shall bear the burden of another unless they misled someone, right?
Okay,
It wouldn't be a
brother.
contradiction.
Can you give the verse before we move ahead?
It's right here.
The verse numbers.
Oh, 30. So 35:18 is the first one. Chapter 35, verse 18. That's the first one.
Okay.
Chapter 16, verse 25 is the second one.
Chapter, the second one?
16.
16?
Verse 25.
25.
Okay. So there's no caveat. It's a contradiction. Either no bearer of burdens shall bear the burden of another, or some bearer of burdens will bear the burdens of another. It can't be both.
Actually, when you mislead someone and apparently they commit the sins, the person they mislead are not actually committing sins.
Yeah, they are.
Because the sins depend on the intentions.
So, for example, if you teach me how to steal, and then I go steal because of what you taught me and misled me to do, did I not commit the sin of theft?
Yeah, of course, you will be held accountable in a court of law, but that is not how it works in God.
That is how it works. I sinned.
Are you talking about Christianity or Islam?
Is theft a sin in Islam?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So if I steal based off of what you taught me, you teach me how to steal, and then I go steal, I committed the sin of theft, right?
Yeah.
All right.
But here's the difference, okay?
What's the difference?
If I teach you how to steal and you steal, and you're a Muslim, you still will be held accountable. That's a sin because it's an innate thing not to steal. So you have to come with a better example.
No worries. But this says that I will, as the person who led you astray, I will bear some of your burden. So some of the consequence that you will get for committing the sin, some of that is going to be put on me. So you won't get the full consequence of that. I'll get some of that.
Yeah, you get you will bear the burdens as if you're committing the sin.
Exactly.
Because you are the one who misled.
Exactly.
And in the left, it's not implying, the implication is not
no, it's explicit on the left. Explicitly on the left, no bearer of burdens shall bear another's burden. No.
And the right is a caveat to that.
No, the right is a contradiction to that, because some bearer of burdens will bear the burdens of another. It's a contradiction.
I think from a English comprehension point of view, what it implies on the left is totally different from what it implies on the right.
There is no implications. Both of these statements are explicit. There's nothing implied here. Everything is explicit. One says explicitly, no bearer of burdens can bear the burden of another, bro. It's explicit. Is there anything confusing about that? I thought this is why I made sure that we was clear on what this said before we jumped, because I knew you was going to do this, and I hoped you wouldn't. Is it we both, you and I, established together that it was clear. There wasn't nothing unclear about it, nothing implicit. It was explicitly clear in 35:18 that no bearer of burden can bear the burden of another. Remember, we agreed to that?
Can you repeat?
Nah, it's all good, brother. We're gonna wrap it up here. It's my time to go. But thanks for coming. Look into this, man. Look into this and see, if you can come up with, an honest assessment. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up now. Okay, thanks for coming.
Let me give a concluding note.
But yeah, there comes a time where you just gotta put your hands up. Just got to put your hands up sometimes. You guys can agree and make a foundation, set a foundation, and agree on a particular point and position. Then when the other point is brought, suddenly what you guys founded on falls apart. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a telltale sign of intellectual dishonesty. It's intellectual dishonesty. Now, I'm not saying that, like the kid, he was a nice guy. I have nothing bad to say about him as a person, as a human. I don't know. But intellectually, Asif, and I know you're listening, you're being dishonest here. That's just dishonest. So I hope that you reflect on that. All right. I hope that you can reflect where, in order to defend the Quran, you have to be intellectually dishonest to defend it. What does that say about it? What does that say about the Quran? 2,000 people understood what the contradiction was. It's always the Muslim that somehow just can't get it.
I actually like this kid, but as Logic said, he's being intellectually dishonest. Contradiction is clear as day. If you think you could harmonize this one, let me see it down in the comments. Also, if you're not a Muslim, tell me your thoughts on the topic.